Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another retro adventure. The end of another week and the end of another poll. We've got a very definite win for Palace of the Vampire Queen. Now normally I'd hold up a copy, but this is going to be a digital review. So we're going over to the computer desktop to have a look at that in a wee second. Now as usual, I'll be back at the end of the video with some other channel related stuff and some other poll related stuff. Before I do that, I'd like to take a moment to talk about my patrons, who are just the absolute best. After all the events of last week, the backing that they give me has been absolutely fantastic and very, very much appreciated. They're really helping support the channel during a difficult time due to an attack on it, as I spoke about in the last video, and I'll give an update at the end. But apart from that, if you'd like to join them and you would like to help support the channel, or you'd like to see these videos a week early, or you'd like access to one of the other levels of Patreon we've got, where we offer other things, then there's the Patreons in the description down below. Check it out, it'd be very much appreciated. But anyway, let's have a look at Palace of the Vampire Queen. So, this is Palace of the Vampire Queen, Dungeon Master's Kit 1, or Number 1, which came out from the Wee Warriors in 1976, and was distributed by TSR. Now, this is the first independently published adventure, or which was sold by itself, because before that, the Temple of the Frog had been distributed with a Blackmore setting. So an adventure had been published, but this was the first adventure which was sold separately to everything else, on its own back. And the reason why this was done by the Wee Warriors, rather than TSR itself, is because Gary Gygax didn't think adventures would sell. He was convinced that because this is a game of the imagination that you can make up your own settings and your own stories for, that's what people would do. And he didn't see a market for it. And this tested that market and proved that selling adventures did work. Now, it was sold as a binder with a bunch of loose leaf pages inside. So we've got a sort of card outside here with the embossed name and half of an image of a castle on it. But inside, all of these pages were just loose leaf, they were separate, which accounts for the number of maps which could be handed over to players. But we'll see there's something interesting about that. Now we can see it's Dungeon Master Kit 1, Palace of the Vampire Queen, produced by Pete and Judy Keristan, printing and layout by Jerry Wellfonder, artwork by Brad Shenek, cover by Judy Keristan, first printing June 1976. We carry into it. And this kit contains detailed maps of the dank and darkened chambers of the tomb stronghold of the Vampire Queen of Baylor. Referee maps of the area showing the trips and traps of each room. Sheets of pre-factored creatures and treasure for solo as well as group play. Designed for use with Dungeons & Dragons rules kit, this kit represents a ready-to-use adventure for those of strong heart and steel strength. Possession of a wooden cross wouldn't hurt either. So they've got a bit of a sense of humour throwing in here. But because this is the first separate adventure, they had no idea what people would look for in an adventure. So this is going to be very, very basic. Kit use. The Dungeon Master may give or sell the player map to the players to speed gameplay. Sell the players a map? I suppose the idea is that a Dungeon Master who's running this not for his friends, but is being paid to do the job, might sell these things to pay for his resources. So photocopiers and things in the 70s were probably pretty rare. Wandering monsters are left to discretion and imagination in the Dungeon Master to avoid confusion and read the pre-factored sheets before playing, since the rooms could not be numbered in any one consecutive order. Feel free to use your imagination for dialogue or any extra details you feel you would add to more exciting play. The kit itself is only a basic outline. You can make it a dramatic adventure. We've got a key for various things there, portcullises, trapdoors. And then we've got the background. For 3 centuries, the peasants of the Dwarvish island of Baylor have feared the raids of the Vampire Queen and her minions, swooping down at night from the palace in the shrouded peaks of the island. They range ever farther in search of blood. Not only for blood, the children of dwarf peasants also disappear if they are so unfortunate as to be out at night. Even the cities are no longer safe. The most recent victim was the Princess of Baylor, daughter of King Arman, who was taken in a midnight raid in the capital city of Arto within the past weeks. King Arman has offered fabulous riches and land holdings, with titles to person or persons who can brave the stronghold of the Vampire Queen and return his daughter to him alive and well. So this is the setup, and this is all the background. We've got Storytellers say that long ago the vampire queen was shipwrecked on the island, barely alive and all but drained of blood. Shipwrecked with her were her guards and ladies in waiting. All her jewels, her rich clothing, and her crown, but none of these things, nor the love that her subjects bore for her, had the power to save her, and she died that night. People wait in fear at night. The king wanders his royal Paris, so empty now without his only child. And that's all the setup we get. We don't really get any descriptive stuff at all, what the countryside is like. We go straight into descriptions of rooms. So we've got the various map rooms here, and we've got them numbered. It's a nice pencil drawn or pen drawn. I kind of like the outline with level 1 at the bottom here. But we've got creatures encountered. So in room 1, we encounter 3 goblins. Their maximum damage is 432, so they've got different amounts of hit points. The contents of the room, 17 gold pieces on each of the goblins, but otherwise the room is empty. I'll go through these. 1 wounded warrior, chaotic good. Warrior is prisoner. If asked, will warn of rust monster in room 8. If healed, he will join the party. 2 giant rats. Rats are trained as guards for the bandits in room 23. Crossbow aimed at entrance to room to fire if door opened. Owl will give alarm to room 53 if not killed in 1 turn. So it links the rooms together, but every room is basically separate. We've got a lot of empty rooms. Room 27, creatures encountered, none. Contents, empty. 28, none, empty. 29, none, empty. 30, none, empty. 31, none, empty. 32, none, empty. 33, none, empty. 34, 4 bandits with 5542 hit points. Bandits carry 3 to 18 gold pieces, but otherwise the room is empty. There are so many empty rooms here. We do have some interesting things which the Games Master could flesh out. Table set for dinner with 5 drained bandit bodies, 15 copper pieces on bodies. Then we've got that map. We've got the map for the players, which you can sell them, apparently. Then we've got level 2. There's a lawful conjurer. Conjurer will warn of orcs in room 32, will aid the party against them, only. So he'll only help against the orcs in room 32. Blink Dog is a companion to conjure in room 3. 7 bodies stacked against wall, pile of weapons, 6 swords, 6 shields, 1 bow, 20 arrows. Just lots of stuff to find. We've got 2 giant ticks here, gelatinous cube, spelt slightly oddly. Since this appears to have been typed out on a typewriter and then photocopied, I think we'll forgive them that. 3 zombies, 4 zombies, 1 evil magician. All zombies on this level are under his control. If magician is attacked, any surviving zombies on this level will come to aid him. So the Games Master, having pre-read that, knows that all the zombies will pile in afterwards if they're not cleared out. We've got a green slime in there with 7 hit points. The map of level 2. The player's version, we're on to level 3. There's a room here with 4 dwarf children, empty. Children almost drained of blood and have been left for the ghoul to finish. 2 werewolves. Werewolves are in the shape of ghouls, unaffected by priests. So they look like ghouls, but they're not going to be affected by turning. It's kind of a trick on the players. Quite intelligent. I'm not sure how werewolves take the shape of ghouls, though. This room's got a far larger description here. Assorted crates, 4 large urns in corners. If party or any members of party enters, urns emit sleeping gas, 100% effective in 2 turns, and wizard will kill them. Strip bodies of all magical items and take bodies to room 8. If party overcomes wizard, he will be forced to give them 3 magical items, dice for items. There's 5 ghouls. The ghouls are dwarves. What else we got? A mother, lynx, and 4 kittens. All of the cats can detect evil within 12 feet. If any of the kittens are taken with the party, the kitten will develop a telepathic communication with the person who carries it and add 3 to his or her morale score. So there's some interesting stuff to find. Level 3. And then we're on to level 4. What we got here? An owl bear. But no equipment, 26 hit points though, it's quite tough. A stone giant, for some reason in the 4th level of a palace. We've got vampire guards, mummies here, a black pudding, a bunch of gnolls. Some more vampire guards, and the map of that level. The player's map, And we continue down to level 5. We've got 5 dwarf children in a cage here. 4 ogres. Ogres are slaughtering children to make blood pudding. 3 drained bodies, other 5 are still living. A dwarf princess, so that's the princess that you're out to rescue there. Room 18. There's a chaotic bishop wearing gauntlets of ogre power and a talisman of chaos supreme. Chaotic vicars, chest with exploding resumes, will explode if not removed by chaotic necromancer with 6 to 60 points of damage. Blast covers 5 foot all around chest. Chest contains 1 gem, valued 10,000 gold pieces. A flesh golem, a human oracle, will tell reverse of truth to any questions. Questions cost 100 gold pieces. And then we've got rooms 29 and 30. In 29, we've got female vampire. This is not the queen. Gold coffin, value 15,000 gold pieces. Assorted jewelry worth 25,000 gold pieces. 4 bottles filled with blood. And then in room 30, we've got another female vampire, this time with 40 hit points. Vampire Queen will turn into a bat and escape if door is not shut behind party. If she escapes, she will go to the dwarf princess. If princess is still living, and threaten to kill her if the party does not let the Vampire Queen go free. So there's something she will do if she's cornered. Some of these vampire guards are quite tough. They've got 30 hit points each, 6 vampire guards, all 9 hit dice fighters. Got the layout of that. So 29 and 30 are right next to each other with a hidden door between the two. So you fight a female vampire, but then if you find the secret door, you'll find the real Vampire Queen. The player's version of it, and then the back cover. And that's it. There's some descriptions of rooms, there's a basic setup. They really didn't know what people were looking for in adventure. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. There's a bunch of nice stuff in it, but it is just so basic. I much prefer adventures with a bit of a story which will lead. This is basically just a location and a bunch of stuff which will happen, along with a tiny bit of story. So that was Palace the Vampire Queen, and that absolutely dominated the poll this week, ending up on 39% of the vote. But in the early part of the week, it was actually over 50%. It really dominated from the very first hour of the poll, and it was clear I could have ended it then. It was definitely going to win the poll this week. Which is kind of sad because some other great stuff on there. So that got 39%. In second place was Mercurial for Shadowrun, which came in on 24%. One of the first adventures for Shadowrun, would have been great to have covered. Your Own Private Idaho for Price of Freedom came in third on 17%, which likewise would have been fantastic cover, because I'm a big fan of the Price of Freedom RPG, and I'd love to have done one of the few adventures for that game. Just behind that was Resection of Time for Call of Cthulhu on 16%. Another modern horror game from Call of Cthulhu. Fantastic stuff. I do love all the Cthulhu Now products. And way back behind was We Were Here First for Salvage Union by Leyland Press. One of the adventures that they've bundled with the digital copies of their game that they're distributing to Kickstarters. And it would have been fun to have a look at that game because it's very, very different to many other games out on the market. But alas, not this time. I guess not enough people have heard of it. So they're all wiped out of the poll, and we're opening up a new one. Now, because of the recording difficulties I've had making this video, because the version that you've just watched was actually my second attempt. For some reason, my microphone when I'm recording on the computer is absolutely maxing out. And even if I'm putting the microphone virtually at the far side of the room, I'm still peaking all the levels on it and it's picking up every background sound, which is pretty poor. So until I get that fixed, I'm not going to do any more digital reviews. I'll do physical ones. And I've got lots of stuff to cover. The shelves are still full. So first up, we've got the Judge Dredd Companion for the Judge Dredd role-playing game from 1987. Now, this is many articles out of Old White Dwarfs, along with some new stuff. The guys who wrote the Judge Dredd role-playing game absolutely loved the comics, so they were very much in tone with the tone of the comics. Brilliant stuff. Next up, we've got Aslan for Shadowrun. Now, this is one of the early source books for first edition Shadowrun, but this one's going into South America, the company that's dominated by the evil bad guy corporation in the Shadowrun world. So it'll be fun to have a look at that. Next up, we've got Platt's Smuggler's Guide for 1st edition or 2nd edition Star Wars from West End Games. Now this came out in 1997, towards the end of their run, but it's still an amazing guide and fantastic stuff, because even if you're playing in a Rebels campaign, you're probably going to be disguising yourself as smugglers and using that kind of thing to get around Imperial blockades. Really, really useful book to have. After that, we've got Sourcebook 3 for Rifts, Mindworks. Now, I absolutely love all the mecha stuff in Rifts, so it'd be lovely to have a look through this. This is a German corporation creating mecha, so fantastic ideas in here. And finally, we've got Spycraft by Odrak Entertainment. Now, this is one of the last games that I've got left to cover, full games, so it'd be fun to cover that, even though it's just another D20 rule set, and I've kind of covered the rules before in my Stargate SG-1 material. But it'd be nice to get it out of the way and have finished all those and move on to a fresh batch of stuff. But we shall see how the polls go. On other channel related stuff, well, as I mentioned last week, the channel came under attack. Basically, it was getting attacked by 1-second views, which attacked the view time of the entire channel, meaning that the channel wouldn't be recommended as much by YouTube. Now, I got in contact with YouTube and they were very, very helpful, and basically after 48 hours, those views were deleted. As are anything under 30 seconds, they just don't count towards views eventually. But that has affected my recommendation on the channel, and views are down to about 50% of what they were before. My shorts, which would pick up between 200 and 300 views, are now struggling to get 100 views. So the channel's been heavily impacted, which is why, as I mentioned at the beginning, the Patreons have been absolutely wonderful. Because if I can't rely on advertising revenue to pay for buying some of the books that I cover, then the Patreon revenue will do that. And they're helping support the channel and helping me provide content to put out there. They're absolutely wonderful, so very much appreciated. Other stuff, well, DrivethruRPG, I'm continuing to publish stuff on that. I've been putting out a bunch of books of villains for Call of Cthulhu Modern, for 5th edition, and for Cyberpunk and Shadowrun. So cyberpunk backgrounds, modern horror backgrounds, fantasy backgrounds, some villains to drop into campaigns and have turn up from time to time. Useful stuff, not absolutely essential, but a nice bunch of stuff to have on your shelf. And of course, patrons of Laird or Librarian status get access to that through the DrivethruRPG. I'll be dropping all those files on there for them. Finally, over on rpggamer.org, well, continuing through the episodes of Ahsoka, which I think have got a lot better the past couple of weeks. Really been enjoying those, and providing some interesting stats, and continuing through Young Jedi Adventures, which is a bit of silliness because it's aimed at 5 or 6 year olds. So, very much my mentality. Apart from that, not much. So I guess I've been wittering on for long enough, so thank you very, very much for watching, as always. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.